That's me, Jack Paul, albeit a very much younger, less worried version of myself, where life was simple and all that mattered was where the next scoop of ice cream was coming from. A point where careers, money and my future were nothing but a figment of my imagination. It was a point in my life where things just seemed so simple, and worries about the complexity and stress of growing up just didn't exist. Anyway, ever since a young age I've always asked the question, does money make you happy in life? I always remember having nice things making me happy when I was younger, so I've always wondered whether it's the money that actually makes a person happy. Fast forward to 21-year-old Jack. And here I am, all these years later, making a documentary about my future and about the issues and stresses which I didn't think existed as a kid. But I'm starting to experience them firsthand now as I'm about to graduate university. For the past 3 months, I've been researching and exploring the relationship between money and happiness. I've done this by interviewing financial psychologists and financial therapists across the globe, ultimately helping me understand what I actually want to get out of life, and more importantly, what actually is going to make me happy. These are my two dads. These are my two father figures that I've had ever since my parents got divorced at a young age. They both have completely different careers and completely contrasting financial situations. My actual dad is a jewellery shop owner and my stepdad is a farmer. And I'm sure you can tell which one's which from the images. But the thing that pulls them together is the fact that they're both happy with their lives. And that's something that I've always struggled to come to terms with, is how one can be wealthy and the other not so wealthy, but they can both have the level of happiness. And that's the kind of the whole idea of, money, doesn't buy you happiness, which I'm trying to understand from making this documentary. And the reason why I interviewed them is to, understand what their secret tip is for contentment. And that's something that's something through making this documentary I really want to find out.
I'm Stephen Paul. I'm a jeweller at Hallmark Jewellers in Truro, and I'm Jack's dad.
Hello, my name's Steve Bowman. I'm a farmer and I am Jack Paul's stepdad.
What are the things that make you happy in life?
Things that make me happy in life would be business going well, health being good, being able to see my family, all the general sort of things like that.
Family is everything. The children, family, my animals, my free time when I go and watch a bit of sport. Love watching cricket, local cricket. Yeah.
And do you think money, the money you earn, plays a part in how much you enjoy your job?
Well, obviously everyone needs to earn money to live. You always think you could do with more money, but I think you obviously make do with what you've got. We're always striving to better ourselves, and hopefully we will. But as long as you've got enough money to do what you want to do, I think that's all you can ask for.
Well, one can't go without the other, but earning more means that you have less stress and less problems to have to deal with. But on the other hand, and your job's enjoyable, then that's got to be a little bit better than having lots of money.
If you could go back to 21-year-old Steve would you say to go down this career route, or would you if you wish you could do something different, what would you have done?
Oh, I think initially when I was that young, I probably had designs on doing things that are probably more exciting. But once I'd got into this job, I started to realise I enjoyed working with the public, and I couldn't see myself in any other job, particularly seeing as I'm having to see things differently every day.
Do you wish you chose a different career path, or are you happy with the career you chose?
No, I am happy with the career I chose. I think there would have been other careers that I would have liked to have pursued as well, but you get one chance, and this is the one that I got, so it's been a good choice.
If I had my time to go over again, if I knew when I was 21, if I knew what I know now, I think I probably would make a different career choice. But you can only do what you think is best at the time. There's no crystal ball, so you make the decisions at the time which you think are the right decisions. Old people say, if you've got a roof over your head, food on the table, what more do you want? And there's a lot to be said for that, I think.
It was at this point in making the documentary that the penny started to drop. After interviewing my two dads, I realised one key thing that's brought them happiness. It wasn't money, but rather the other parts of life, with them both agreeing family played a huge factor in them being happy. To continue my research, I arranged interviews with a happiness expert and two financial psychologists from the UK and the US to discover whether money actually makes a person happy. I started with Matt Phelan, the founder of the Happiness Index.
Money is not really going to make Jack Paul or Matt Phelan happier, unfortunately, because that would be easy, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
What it will do is it will get you a slightly bigger flat, or maybe a better logo on your car, or a better bike, or whatever. But ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, that stuff just doesn't make you happier. So the simple answer to your question, Jack, is money does make you happier, but after a certain level, it doesn't. But because we are privileged people living in a very beautiful country that many of us moan about on a regular basis, but me and you can walk over to a tap now and get some clean running water that is not going to kill us.
Yeah. I personally think people prioritize money over happiness occasionally. Well, actually, a lot of people do.
People who work in business and advertising and that, they understand how our brains work. And at the end of the day, evolution doesn't happen in thousands of years. It happens over a longer period of time for that. So people have worked out how our brains work, and they offer us things that we think, if we get them via money, will make us happy.
Yeah, of course.
But in many cases they don't, and it's a fleeting moment, and it's why a lot of people achieve what they want to achieve and then actually drop into potentially depression afterwards, because they've chased after this thing for years, and then you get it and you're like, oh.
After speaking with Matt Phelan, I then looked across the pond to gather a perspective from two American financial psychologists, Dr. Alex Malcumian and Andrew Kennedy.
And when you squeeze an orange, what do you get?
Juice.
Orange juice,
yeah.
Right? So a lot of times if we would squeeze ourselves, what would come out is the emotions and the mindset that is already inside of us. So how do we expect when we squeeze an orange juice for lemon juice to come out, or apple juice, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So if we are happy inside, whether it's with money or without, we're gonna be a happy person.
Yeah.
And if we are resentful or kind of present with other emotions that are predominant, or fearful as a person, or we get easily stressed or overwhelmed, that's going to be a predominant thing, right? So that's where our mind will go to when we sort of sprinkle money on top of all of it.
What's happiness, right? So I think happiness tends to be an ephemeral feeling. I think what enough money does, and for everyone, enough is a different concept, right? For a celebrity, it will be a very different idea than someone else. But I think if you can understand what enough means, and enough means to you, and that might change at different stages of your life, but if you really understand enough, you can feel contented. And I think if we search for contentment, that happiness is always around us in some way, right? We can feel happiness more often. If we can't feel contented, like when we get up in the morning and we go to bed at night, then happiness is going to feel elusive.
Talking to professionals opened my eyes to that money actually shouldn't be my driving factor when choosing my careers. It reminded me of one of my good mates, Nat, who always told me he didn't care how much money he earned, just as long as he was able to be by the sea. I met up with him to learn a little bit more on his outlook on life.
It's how you determine success, because a lot of people determine success with money, and that's what I always have.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's the other things, really.
Yeah, so for me, I think you can be successful in many ways. I mean, I'd argue that everyone is successful at what they want. You know, if you can find a passion in work, and you know, you feel really passionate about your career and that actually makes you happy, then I think it's perfect. And then the money is just a subsidiary benefit.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. I really didn't know how to finish this documentary. I just filmed all my bits, and I got to a certain point where I was just like, I knew what I thought, and I knew what I believed in, but I just didn't know how to quite end it. And when I was pondering over these thoughts for the past week or two, I actually got offered a full-time role at my part-time job where I work at, which is just absolutely incredible, and it's quite ironic really, because I've been making a documentary about not having security or you know worries about money and my future, etc. But now I can actually comfortably say that I've got that secured, and it's just absolutely incredible really to think that that's actually just happened. One thing that I have learned through making this documentary is that everybody needs money, and let's be honest, everybody wants it. You know, there's no point beating around the bush about that, because you'd be lying if someone said they didn't need any money whatsoever. But the one thing is, money isn't going to be my deciding factor that's going to make me happy. You can have all the money in the world, but I don't think that's going to be the final factor that's going to make you happy. It's like Andrea said, the search for contentedness, and everybody's needs are completely different. So it might vary from person to person how much money that's actually going to be, but that's not the final straw in making you happy. It's like my dad said, you know, they both agreed on it. You get one life, you get one chance, and we don't have a crystal ball. You've just got to do what you think is right in the moment. And I feel like that's all, you know, people my age or anybody in life can do.